Today, along with me, I have Mr. Anil Desai. Okay, he's here who shall walk us through on this entire presentation today. Anil is an MBA Finance from XIMB, and before we start today's session, would like to highlight the disclaimer. Uh, Anil, go to the next slide. So we are not promoting any asset class. This session is completely an awareness program to guide the general public about the next revolutionary approach in the financial market. The presentation does not constitute investment advice. Please take all steps necessary to ascertain that any information and content provided is correct, updated, and verified. Thank you. Go to the next slide, this side. So as per the language preference, what we received feedback from the clients is about 77% of the people who prefer an English language. So we wanted to walk through this with an English. So there are 18% of the people who wanted it to be done this session in the Tamil. So we will help you in terms of any queries. If you're not able to understand, you can put across in Tamil. We'll be glad to revert you in the Tamil language. So not to be worried on that. So that's all for now. I'll leave this presentation to Hanil. Hanil, please take us through on this. We will go step by step, and the most objective of this session is to make you understand about what this asset class is all about and how this asset class is going to change this entire economy in the next 5 to 7 years. So, Hanil, please go ahead. So we want all the members to wait till the presentation gets over so that we'll also open the dais for a question and answer session. Over this presentation will be say about 15 to 20 minutes only. So post which we will open the session for a question answer session. So if you have any kind of a question, we'll be glad to answer you on that. Yeah. Thank you very much. Hanil, please take it through.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all safe. Myself, Harneel Desai, and the team of Icons Graph would like to welcome you to the future. But before we go to the future, let's look at the past, then the present, and then the future. The future of currency. So earlier, way before currency, there was barter system where people traded fruits and vegetables for meat or exchanged meat for fish, even exchanged food grains for cow. Now you see this created a problem of lack of common measure. I mean, food grains and cows are nowhere identical in value. That's why currency was invented. Fast forward to the currency before independence. During that time, it was not only the rupee, but there were other currencies as well that coexisted along with the rupee, many of which were under direct control of the British India. For example, the Osmania Sikka by the Hyderabad princely state. The European colonists had their own money called the rupee, and even the kingdom of Travancore, that is the modern Kerala, had their own currency, that is the Panam. So the problem of lack of a truly common measure still prevailed. Fast forward to the currency after independence. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, this is how our money evolved over time in different colors. Fun fact, in the year 1954, Central Bank issued a 1,000 rupee note, a 5,000 rupee note, and even a 10,000 rupee note. But soon after, they demonetized the 5,000 and the 10,000 rupee note. Talking about demonetization, I'm sure you are all aware of the fiasco of 2016 demonetization. But have you ever wondered why a piece of paper holds the value of 100 or 200 or even 2,000? It is because the governor of RBI promises to pay the bearer the sum of rupees 200, 500, or whatsoever. Yes, that is true. Now, when Mr. Urjit Patel, the previous governor of RBI, promises the holder of the note the given sum of money, it has three effects. The first, it increases our faith in the currency. Second, it is an unconditional promise by the RBI governor himself that increases the strength of the currency. And third, the signature of RBI governor grants the note the status of a legal tender. Now you might be wondering, if the rupee is a legal tender in India, it should be accepted outside India as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that isn't the case. INR is not accepted out of India mainly because of three reasons. Firstly, a small export market. India's export market is really small. And I mean, we just contribute 1.7% of the total global export market. Secondly, a less stable economy. Recently, global rating system Moody's changed India's economic outlook from stable to negative, mainly because of the prolonged financial stress among the rural households, weak job creation, and ineffective implementation of government policy. And thirdly, unfavorable policies which make it difficult to set up and run a profitable business in spite of cheap skilled labor available. Herein comes the new currency, the next generation currency, the cryptocurrency. Now let's try and understand what is cryptocurrency. It is a virtual currency, something which only exists in electronic form. For example, when you deposit 100 rupees in a bank, the bank will give away 70 to someone in need as a loan. But if you check your passbook, it will still show 100 rupees. The same way, cryptocurrency exists in the virtual world, and it is secured by cryptography, a set of algorithms which are difficult to crack, making it impossible to counterfeit and double spend. Double spending means recording a transaction again due to some kind of error. For example, when you use net banking, there are times when it shows transaction has failed, but in fact, it has deducted from your account. That is something which never happens in cryptocurrency. The second point is they are decentralized network based on blockchain security. Now we will see what blockchain is in the following slides. But for now, it means a chain of blocks that contain information in the most simplest meaning. Let's try to understand how this cryptocurrency works. It uses secure online payments, which are denominated in terms of virtual tokens. It is the same as our physical currency. When we say denomination, we say 10 rupee note, a 100 rupee note, or a 500 rupee note. The same way, cryptocurrency is denominated in tokens, which are represented by ledger entries internal into the system. Now, the word crypto refers to encryption algorithms. It can be compared to the OTP system we have currently while transferring money, just more secure because of the various cryptographic techniques that safeguard these entries. Now, you might be thinking, oh, cryptocurrency is something new, and the current laws of economics do not hold. But that is not true.
Just a minute.
Cryptocurrency.
Sorry to interrupt, Hanan. Someone have started scribbling on the screen. Can you please help us to clear this scribbling? Gentlemen, someone have scribbled. I don't know who is that. किसी ने स्क्रीन के ऊपर स्क्रिबल किया है आपके साइड से. कैन यू प्लीज फाइंड आउट किसके स्क्रीन से हुआ है? Okay, Hanil, go ahead. I think.
Okay. The cryptocurrency too works on three basic rules of economics. First, as more people adopt it, the demand and supply increases. Second, as the demand and supply increases, there is more buying and selling of the token. And third, as the buying and selling increases, the value of currency also increases. I said that buying and selling increases the value, but it can also decrease the value. That means there are fluctuations in cryptocurrency. One day it can be $5,000, the other day it can be $30,000. But why is there such a volatility? There are three main reasons. First, a lack of intrinsic value. Now you see, our physical currency is backed by some or the other physical asset. Earlier, it was gold. Now it is crude oil. Problem is, cryptocurrency is not backed by any real asset. Second, there is a lack of regulation. And third, the technology is still under development. It can be safely said that because of the technology is not being fully developed, there is no concrete regulation in place. All these problems exist, agreed. But then why is the price going up? In March 2021, Bitcoin reached a record price of $61,000 plus. Again, there are three main reasons for that. First, a small market, which is because the supply is limited, as there are only 2 crore tokens and billions of buyers. Second, speculative pricing. The prices are majorly based on market speculation. A favorable news will shoot up the price, and even a rumor of unfavorable news will adversely affect the price. And third, there is no circuit limit. Now in stock market, there exists a safeguard which prevents the prices from moving too much on the upper side or even the lower side. But there is no such safeguard when it comes to crypto. Now let's shift gears and look at blockchain technology, the technology that gave birth to crypto. And why is it so important? Let's see what it is first. It is a decentralized and distributed ledger that anyone can view and records the proof of transactions and digital asset. It makes the history of any digital asset unalterable and transparent through the use of algorithms and cryptographic hashing. But how does it help the banking sector? It creates a decentralized trust, meaning there is no involvement of any middleman, like the central government or central bank. For example, RBI is the banker's bank, meaning each bank has to maintain a balance with RBI. Whenever bank needs a loan, RBI is able to provide the loan from the balance. Now, because of blockchain, this function of RBI will be eliminated. Second, it enhances security as it reduces counterparty risks and increases transparency. Each and every member can see the information stored in the blockchain, but no one can alter it. Effective implementation of blockchain will reduce costs because everything is happening electronically. And this is also why it increases the efficiency. Now let's see what makes blockchain so secure. In simple terms, there are two types of security. Public, which allows anyone from the public domain to participate, trade, and remain anonymous. It uses nothing but internet connected computers to validate transactions. And second, private, which uses credentials to confirm members and access is only permitted to known entities. The known credentials can be your KYC documents or your fingerprint to identify if you are a part of the system or not. And the verification of transaction happens through consensus that is achieved via selective endorsement. Of course, because of the anonymity and ease of access to public currencies, there is a greater demand of public cryptocurrencies. As you can see, there are over 10 public cryptocurrency: Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Bitcoin Cash, Cardano, NEM, Tron, Stellar, EOS, IOTA, and LPNT. Whereas there are only 6 private cryptocurrencies: the Monero, Particle, Verge, Dash, Zcash, and Horizon. Now let's take the example of Bitcoin and Monero, the two most famous cryptocurrency in their particular segments, to differentiate between centralized blockchain and decentralized blockchain. When it comes to centralized blockchain, Monero has the most control. But when it comes to Bitcoin, the user has the most control. There is a tiny bit of chance of hacking Monero, but there is absolutely no chance of hacking into Bitcoin. Of course, there is a fee to trade Monero, but there is no fee while trading Bitcoin. Also, a centralized blockchain like Monero is easy to regulate. It just requires a license. But on the other hand, it is difficult to regulate Bitcoin, and it does not require any kind of license as well. These are the companies that have adopted cryptocurrency, meaning a buyer can buy their products using cryptocurrency. As we all know, the famous Tesla, you can buy a Tesla car using any kind of cryptocurrency. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's look at the journey of adoption of digital currency in India. The seeds of a centralized cryptocurrency were sown in December 2016, just after demonetization. And by September 2017, government was considering to introduce a law and were open to suggestions on Bitcoin law. But because of the unstable nature and potential illegal use of cryptocurrency, the government shut its door on crypto and bans any trading or holding of any cryptocurrency. But in March 2020, Supreme Court lifts the ban on cryptocurrency. And in Budget 2021, a bill on virtual currency was also discussed. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's try to understand how in mere 20 days, the stand of government changed from anti-crypto to pro-crypto. As you can see in the image to the left, on February 4, 2021, central government said that it had no plans to introduce India's own cryptocurrency. But just after 20 days, Shaktikanta Das, the current RBI governor, tweets that RBI is working on central bank digital currency as they don't want to be left behind in the technological revolution on Feb 25th, 2021. Then, on March 26, 2021, government has ordered companies to disclose the details of investments and trade in cryptocurrencies in their financial statements. Even the CBO of CoinSwitch, Sharan Nair, urges to regulate cryptocurrency and not ban it, as according to him, countries that have banned cryptocurrency have seen the underground market for crypto asset grow exponentially. Talking about digital currency, here is a little representation of how much our country has adopted digital transaction from 2016 to 2021. From zero banks in 2016 to over 220 banks connected to the UPI system. From zero transactions to over 2,500 million rupees in transactions from 2016 to 2021. Indians have greatly appreciated the mode of digital payments. Now let's take a look at how many cryptocurrencies there are in the world and how the adoption of cryptocurrencies have grown exponentially from 2013 to 2021. In 2013, there were only 66 cryptocurrencies throughout the world. But in 2021, there are over 4,500 cryptocurrencies. Now, I would like to take Mr. Shailendra Kumar to explain crypto regulations by country.
Sorry, gentlemen, I think somebody have scribbled on the screen and it's, I don't know who is that. Anyways, sorry for this. Okay, this is somewhere a crypto regulation by the country. So you should know which are the countries are now trying to implement cryptocurrency as a legal tender in terms of exchanging their own currency. You know, if you look at Canada is already implemented, USA is already implemented, Mexico is working towards it. And if you look at even India is in the line. So there are so many countries across the world is now planning to get into their own digital currency. So as of now, today's Economics Times news is also shown that Indian government is planning to come up there with their crypto coin. So these are the regulations which are currently government working on, and we believe that the country should adapt this new technology over a period of time. There is no other option with the country because this is the far revolutionary approach which we feel, and we wanted our entire network and the clients of people to understand how crypto is going to change entire financial segment. That's all. Go ahead, Anil.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, as an ending note, I would like to show you some more facts and figures about the return on each asset class. While equity gave a rise of over 100% in 2021, that was mainly because of COVID. The returns on debt has remained almost constant. And mutual fund that are passive investments will always give a little less than active investments that are equity. The return on gold have fluctuated from negative 2.3% to 35% to 1.62%, mainly because of the weakening of dollar. And the returns on land have drastically gone down in the last 3 years. But when we compare all of this to crypto, not even the sum of all the assets are greater than the returns from Bitcoin or even Ethereum. Here again, the thing that I explained in the previous slide, just with the graph. As you can see, there Bitcoin has grown by 520%. Ethereum has grown by 415%, and XRP, that is Ripple, has grown by 599%. In conclusion, I would like to show you this graph of the volume traded as on May 2021, showing the traded volume to be INR 2.91 lakh crores in India, and Bitcoin reaching the record price of 63,870 US dollars, and Ethereum reaching the price of $2,154 as on March 2021. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is what the future holds for us. The entire economy will change in the next 5 years. Are you ready? To know how to invest and which is the best cryptocurrency to invest, please contact Dr. Shailesh Kumar Khandelwal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hernal. So I leave the dais now for a Q&A. So most of slides which we have taken through is a theory part. So now we will explain you more on a layman perspective how things are going to change, right? So I want Hanil, go to the cryptocurrency slide, please. Hanil. Okay. Okay, stop. So most of the people would have come across the word called cryptocurrencies, right? So I want to explain you is this in the more general virtual term, right? So when you say a virtual currency, you would have heard a lot of people saying that, it is a bogus, it is a scam, it is a Ponzi scheme, how virtual currency can take over the paper currency, etc. So that's how we have shared you the first slide stating that how the generation have been shifting towards currency to new development of a currencies, right? So to understand the virtual currencies better, so to give us an example, Harnil has discussed earlier. So assuming even today, we are all working towards a virtual currency along with the paper currency, but you might be not aware. So I will explain you how it is. Example, as Arnil said, you are depositing 100 rupees into the bank. Okay, your 100 rupees is available in the bank. How will you confirm that your 100 rupees is already in the bank? Either you can check via passbook or you get into your internet banking. Only then you will come to know that your 100 rupees is inside your bank. But actually, when you look at the number, when you go to the internet banking and you check your 100 rupees is already available, it is just a number. But actually, if you look at your 100 rupees is not available in the bank. Why? Because banks take money from you and start lending in the market. Okay, that it's known fact. So if you have 100 rupees, enter 100 rupees AUM in the bank cannot enter 100 rupees, cannot lend to the general public. So what they do is, assuming 60 to 70% of your money is already available in the lending side. So bank will be lending. So 20 to 30% is already available in the bank, so that people, if somebody wanted to withdraw the money, they can do it. Okay, so that's how the banking sectors works. When you look at the virtual segment, okay, when you log in into your internet banking, When you see your currency is available 100 rupees, it's just a number, which means it's a virtual currency. That's how the current cryptocurrency is getting changed. Okay. So to make you in a layman perspective, understanding how cryptocurrency is going to change it, right? So go to the next slide, Anil. Next slide. So this is somewhere many people have a questions that why the cryptocurrency has such a huge volatility. Sometimes in a single day, because it works a 24 hours market. So you see sometimes cryptocurrency moving from 20%, 30%, 40% single day, right? This is a basic reason is when you look at the equity market. In equity market, any stock, if you're bought at 100 rupees, okay, you cannot place your order beyond 5%, 10%, 15%, or 20% maximum because it's a circuit limit. The government or the regulation have already fixed a circuit limit. So apart from that limit, you cannot place an order. Example, if I bought an 100 rupees stock, right? If I wanted to place 150 rupees as selling price, the terminal will not accept my order because it will reject it. Because as per the circuit limit, certain stock has a 5% circuit limit, certain stocks will have 10% circuit limit, certain stocks will have 15, certain stock will have 20% max. So 20% fluctuation is possible in Indian market as per the regulatory norms. In cryptocurrency, there is no such regulations. Even if you bought 100 rupees, you want to place it 200 rupees, the terminal will accept your order. Okay, that's the reason you will find the huge fluctuation in the cryptocurrency market. And that is the reason you see every time the crypto blockchain, if you look at the Bitcoin, sometimes it will be at 60,000, and someday if you see it will be at 50,000, 55,000. It's because of the terminal accepting your orders. Whatever you say, the order will be accepted, right? That's the reason there is a huge volatility and fluctuations. Please go ahead. Uh, some next slides. Okay, I think don't want to confuse them on a blockchain technology. Okay, go ahead. So giving you a blockchain security model. So you know that we have already discussed you about public and private. When you say a public, now government, even today, they say we are going to block private cryptocurrencies. You are not supposed to trade in the private cryptocurrency. If you are found trading in the private cryptocurrency, then government may take any action against you. This is what the current status even today in the Indian market. Public currencies are not being affected based on the blockchain security. That is why the public currencies are being used by the bank, used for the trading, used by the hedge funds managers. So all public currencies have been currently being used, so that cannot be banned. So that is why we have given you an example of which are the public currency and which are the private currencies. Go to that slide, Sarnil. If you look at, these are the public currencies and these are the private currencies. Now, why they are saying private currencies are banned? Because in private currency is something where government cannot track your transaction. Even if the government wanted to understand where you have done the transaction, the government cannot track with this. If you're trading, if your crores of money get transactions via cryptocurrencies, private cryptocurrencies, where government will not be able to assess whom the fund has been transferred, who is the transferer, who is the receiver, nothing can be tracked in the private cryptocurrencies. But whereas the public cryptocurrencies, it's everything is transparent, everything is recorded on the ledger, which cannot be altered or which cannot be modified, right? That is the reason public cryptocurrencies are becoming more famous in the market. There are a lot of cryptocurrencies coming up in the market today. If you can look at what the chart we have shown, go to the chart, number of cryptocurrencies available, Hanal. So if you look at since 2013 to 2021, there's huge movement in the cryptocurrency model. So if you look at this, is we are expecting this to reach at least 10,000 in next 2 years. List of the cryptocurrencies. Go to the list of the cryptocurrency, number of cryptocurrencies. Now you look at this chart. As of now, from 2013, 66 currency to 4,500 currencies, we are expecting this to reach in next 2 years to reach 9,000 to 10,000 currencies, because most of the countries are going to come up with their own digital currency. As and when the digital currency start picking up, most of the financial fintech companies will start coming up with this new currencies. Most of the people will start be listing their own cryptocurrencies in the market. Yes, there are number of fraudulent activities are happening based on this cryptocurrencies cannot be denied, and that is a part and parcel of any asset classes. If you can look at even equity markets, there are a fraud happening. Even in MCX market, there are frauds and scams are happening. As in when the asset class grows, okay, these things is a part and parcel of this game. But you'll our whole objective of this session is to make you all understand how cryptocurrency is going to change in the next 5 years. In the next 5 years, we are foreseeing 5 to 7 years, we will not be finding ATM across the street. Okay, people will not be using an ATM cards. They will be using a cryptocurrency. Why we are saying cryptocurrencies? Because India is now getting changed to a digital currency. Why? Because 2016, after the demonetization, most of the people who were using cash has now started using a digital option with a Paytm, Google Pay, Phone Pay. That's what we have shown the chart. Go to the next slide, Anil. This chart, if you can look at, this is started picking up from November 2016. If you can look at this 2016, the demonetization period, people started using nook and corner. Every digital transaction is now happening. So this is all expected to make 5x kind of a returns going forward. So hence we wanted all our clients to understand how this transformation is going to happen. Most of the countries started doing a transaction of a real estate market in the digital currencies today. So you will see a lot of newses coming in. So if you wanted to get a lot of newses, do download our Icons Graph app, and we will keep updating you all latest information on how cryptocurrency is going to change. Right now, we open a session for an or any question and answers if you want, so we can help you out through that. आपका कोई questions है, any doubts, உங்களுக்கு ஏதாவது doubts இருக்கு, Tamils, Hindi, please let us know. We are there to help you out. If not, in next 10 minutes, we can close this session. Please go ahead. You can unmute and you can ask your questions, sir. Any questions?
Hi, Shailesh. It is Arun here. Good morning.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, just one question here on this.
Yep.
See, there are certain countries where they have legalized the cryptos, no? So
Correct.
over there, I mean, how the taxations are being framed, the framework on the taxation part. Can you just give an overview on that?
Yeah, see, when you look at the taxation part, as of now in India, since there is a no policy has been framed, so what the government says is any investment, or if you look at an example of forex trading market, it is still not been approved. So what government says is, if you are doing a forex trading in India, you are not supposed to do a forex trading, and if anything happen with your funds, government is not responsible. But what government says is, but you are supposed to pay your income tax based on your returns. Right, the same thing is for the crypto. So any returns coming in from overseas, you are eligible to pay a 30% slab tax, because it is still not regulated. If you look at an Indian equity market, we have a equity short-term capital gain as a 15% and long-term as a 10% as again for the tax law. So, but this is something, even if you do a short-term or a long-term, it is straight away your income tax slab, 30-35% you'll be taken away. So this is as of now in India. But overall in the countries, they are now trying to regulate it. They are trying to bring the legalized tax norms. So every country has its own taxation slab. Few are at 5%, few are at 8%, few are at 15%. So it depends on country to country when they start doing the taxation norms. Hope it helps, Arun.
Yeah, got it.
Okay. Anyone else who has a clarifications?
Hi, Shailesh. This is Sachin this side. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Sachin, please go ahead.
Yeah. Shailesh, this one thing was there. There is a concept of trading and there's a concept of investment. So how to analyze, and basically if I want to invest in any of the Bitcoin, how can I take it and how reliably can I keep it safe?
Okay. See, now there is something called as staking. Okay. There is something called a trading in cryptocurrency. I'll give an example of an equity market. So equity market, when the stock get listed, we say an IPO, right? Initial public offering. When it come into a cryptocurrency, it is called initial coin offering. So when you get into an initial coin offerings, there is something called a staking. Now, what is a staking? So any cryptocurrency, when they start giving you a staking option, the staking has some promotional benefit of a currency. Example, there are certain currencies will say that we will give you 50% bonus, we will give you 20% dividend, we'll give you 3% dividend, so on. There is a promotional cost which will be involved. Apart from your capital appreciation, your existing investment will hold some kind of a fixed returns. Okay, that is called a staking. When you look at a trading option, a trading option is just like your equity futures and option which you do. If you're buying at 100 rupees, then the stock moves to 110 rupees, you want to sell it, you can sell it. If it is a 90 rupees, you want to book your loss and move out, you can do a book a loss and move out. That's called a trading. Trading and staking is two different concepts in cryptocurrencies. So most of the people who does not have an experience in investing in the cryptocurrency, they should look at anything good staking option in the crypto market. So most of the currency, when they launch it, they come with a staking option, because what the exchange, crypto market exchange says is the 50% of the holding should be under a staking and 50% of their holding should be in the trading. So most of all the currencies will have a staking options. So you should find out with whom you're dealing with, ask them if they have an option called a staking that is more beneficial for you. When you come into a staking option, the difference most is staking will always have some kind of a lock-in period. Okay, just like you're buying an unlisted shares. When you buy an unlisted shares, after a listing period, you are supposed to hold 1 year lock-in period as per SEBI norms. As same crypto exchanges, they have some norms. Buying into a staking, you'll have to keep your investment locked for some time. That lock-in period will start giving you every month some kind of an yields along with the capital appreciation post that specified period. Hope it answers, Sachin.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
And the follow-on question was that how you would be offering, or what is your offering on this subject? How quants can help us?
Yeah, see, because we are now not willing to give you some kind of direct information on which cryptocurrency you should invest. So that's why I've given you my number. If you have, we can directly be in touch and I can guide you on how you want to invest systematically in cryptocurrency market.
Thanks a lot. It's a lot of I get a lot of clarification on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sachin. Anyone else who wanted to have some clarification?
Yeah, good morning. This is Govindan. Yeah,
Yes,
thanks for your nice presentation.
Yes,
so I have
Govindan.
some doubt on demand. Actually, you said that some 6-7 years back we had only some 200 cryptocurrencies. At present, we are having some 4,000 cryptocurrencies.
Yes.
So probably after 5-10 years, we may have some 20,000 cryptocurrencies. So how will the demand will be there?
See, that's what I'll put it this way to give you more clarity. Now, hope you know about an Indian stock market, right? So Indian stock market, we have about 5,000 companies, right?
Yeah.
Not expecting any more companies coming forward is a question mark. Okay. Yes, there will be a lot of companies coming up. If you look at 30 years back when the index started, there was only about 30-40 companies were listed. Then slowly it got into 200. Then it slowly got into 700. Then it slowly got into 1,500. Demands and the market cap will keep increasing on any asset classes. It's not going to stop. Okay, it depends on now. Out of 5,000 Indian stocks, you tell me how many stocks are actually performing. If you look at, there's only about 1,200, 1,300 stocks are performing. Now, if you look at how many stocks are performing in Nifty, then we'll say only 50 stocks. Now, if you look at how many stocks are performing in BSE stocks, we will say only 100 stocks, right? Or we would say only 30 stocks. So that's how the cryptocurrency is going to change. So it depends on the market cap, volume, and the ranking. Now, any cryptocurrency, when it comes, you should first understand what is its white paper. Now, when the white paper, there's something called a white paper. Most of the cryptocurrency people will not have a white paper, because then it is something they are trying to manipulate certain things in the market. The white paper is something, a red herring prospectus kind of a thing. So any listed entities from the Indian Stock Exchange wanted to list, they used to produce a SEBI red herring prospectus, which talks about a detailed plan of the company. The same for crypto, there is something called a white paper. So you have to read that white paper. You have to understand what their business model is, what they're going to do. If all things you've satisfied, then you go and put your money into that respective cryptocurrencies. Most of the cryptocurrencies in the market, you will not be able to know who is the owner. For example, if you say Bitcoin, who is the owner? No one knows, right? So that's how. So you'll have to first understand who the company is, who are the promoter is, same as what you do in Indian stock market research. Same you have to do for a cryptocurrencies. So if somebody does not have a white paper, better I think you should avoid that kind of a currency investment in that. Hope I answer you, Govind.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Govind. Anyone else?
Hi, Shailesh.
Hi, Ravish. Please go ahead.
So Shailesh ji, so just to understand, like for an equity market today, if I'm willing to invest X amount of rupees and wish to trade on certain shares that, as you are a portfolio manager, you would recommend me that you should invest this much money here and this much there. So as of today, if I want to invest certain amount of money into the cryptocurrency, is it still legal in India? Or that is one of the main questions I come across. A lot of people when
That's
we
what I said.
discuss crypto.
So as of now in India, they have not legalized. Okay. That's the reason what the company does is they used to register their company outside India and they do a marketing in India, right? Just like a Forex, what government says is you are not supposed to trade in Forex. But if you look at last 13 years, people in Indian markets, the total 28% of the volume of Forex trading goes from India. Now, if you look at out of 10 crypto coins in Bitcoin, 3 crypto coins are from India. Okay, so which means whatever the restriction government made, but still people are interested towards a new asset class. So if you look at the legalization part, there is a no legalization in India as of now, but government is working to make it legalized based on the respective currency. Now, if you go to the Google, search on a blockchain implementation of the banks. So there are about top 12 banks which have already implemented blockchain technology. And if you look at something called a private public currency called Ripple, Ripple is now being used by overseas banks. They're going to use their codes for an overseas bank. So you will have to look at which currency is getting implemented, which currency is getting associated with which kind of a sector. Okay, then there's a more objective of investing into those kind of a cryptocurrencies. Hope it answers, Ravish.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Any more questions? So we are always there to help you out in terms of any kind of an investment we do. We do have an application icons graph, and there is my mobile number for a WhatsApp for instant any kind of a query which you have. If you feel you are not able to ask any kind of a question or it is kind of a silly question, how do I ask? I have no idea. Should I ask this question? Then you can directly text me. I will be glad to help you out at any time. Yeah. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thanks for your time taken. We will catch up for a new session once again in the later stage. Thank you very much. You can leave the meeting now. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.